Hello friends, I hope that all of you had a restful weekend. I hope that you had some beautiful weather wherever you are in the world. I hope that you're feeling rejuvenated and ready to go, and thank you in advance for taking the time to watch this video today. I know that I promised I would upload every Tuesday and Friday, so I'm sorry that I missed last Friday. I didn't want to rush this specific video because this was the one that I wanted to upload last week. This is a video that I don't want to rush recording, editing, because there are a lot of things in this video that I want to make sure I get across really clearly. I don't want to trigger or offend anyone, and I want to make sure that this is just a thoughtful video because this is a topic that is very sensitive and it is important to me. Just like the vegan cheese that I had to purchase for my French speaking video, I had to purchase that wine specifically for that video too, because the truth of the matter is I don't drink as much as I used to for a lot of reasons. I have absolutely no problem with people who drink regularly. A lot of my friends drink. I still drink from time to time. I never had to battle alcoholism or any serious things like that, but alcohol has had a negative effect on my life in a lot of different ways, and I found that for me, stepping away from drinking, even though I was just drinking once every weekend, once every couple of weeks, was something that I needed to do because it was hurting me. I think the easiest way to talk about this is just to start from the beginning and when I started experimenting with alcohol and just go from there. So I would say up until the end of my junior year of high school, I didn't care much for alcohol. I had friends who drank, but I just wasn't interested. I was an athlete. I really was a rule follower, and it just wasn't something that I cared to do. And obviously underage drinking is against the law. I do not condone underage drinking at all. I'm just going to be sharing my experiences. But yeah, up until the end of my junior year, I didn't think too much about it. I also want to throw in there that I never had a boyfriend or anything when I was in high school. I wasn't trying to impress anyone or anything like that. Towards the end of my junior year, I started talking to this older guy. We went to prom. There was an after party. I really wanted to impress him, and that was the first time that I actually underage drank. Being a stupid, naive, young person, I obviously drank way too much, totally embarrassed myself. It was mortifying, humiliating, and that was the beginning of my underage experimentation with alcohol. And as mortifying as that experience was for a brief moment before everything went downhill, I realized that when you drank, it was like your problems went away. And I've talked about this before in my channel, but my home life, things weren't the greatest, and I saw a lot of things that were traumatizing and had to really suppress them. I didn't have anyone to talk about them with, and going into my senior year of high school, there was just a lot of things going on at home. I realized that I was going to be leaving home, and the thought that these things would still be going on. I had all of these fears in my head, and I had held it together for so long. I got to a point senior year where I was like, I don't want to hold it together anymore. I don't want to face the problems that are really happening in my life, and the only way that I knew how to make them go away was with a water bottle full of disgusting Smirnoff vodka in someone's basement on a Saturday night. Now, I want to reiterate, I didn't have to combat alcoholism. I don't want to compare my struggle to anyone who has actually dealt with that addiction, because I know that is much more serious than what I've gone through. But I just want to give some context to my relationship with alcohol. So my senior year of high school was when I started drinking more. I would go to parties on the weekend, and I would say 90% of the time they would end terribly. I would always be the most inebriated. I would get sick. My friends would have to take care of me. I have ruined a lot of good friendships and relationships because of my behavior. I have really put strains on people in my past because of how I acted, and it wasn't until now that I realized what I was doing and how destructive and selfish I was being, but I didn't know how to cope with what I was going through in any other way, and I couldn't share what I was going through with anyone, or I didn't want to because I was so ashamed. And so I just was being reckless with alcohol, and it's really sad. It's really sad how I ruined how a lot of people viewed me, how I ruined a lot of nights for other people and relationships. And those are things that I can never take back. As much as I have grown since that time, and I do believe I'm a better person, I caused damage that I just can't reverse, and I don't blame anyone for not wanting to be friends with me anymore. I was truly selfish during that time. I was so angry with my life that when I would drink, I would get so nasty and mean towards the people who were just trying to help me. And it was terrible. And the next day my problems would be there, but on top of that would be this layer of guilt and embarrassment from the way that I behaved the night before. So after high school, I went off to USF, I got involved in Greek life, and I was still drinking like I was in my small Pittsburgh town, but I was not. I went from drinking in a basement on a Saturday night to drinking at bars and drinking at frat parties. Things got more messy and they got more dangerous. You know, when I talk about why I left USF and transferred to FITM, I often say, you know, it wasn't for me. I wanted something different. And while that is true, I'm leaving out a big part of why I left that school. I'm going to put a little trigger warning here. I am going to briefly talk about sexual assault. If that is something that makes you uncomfortable, I would say fast forward probably a minute and a half. I'm not going to get into any details, but I think that this is an important part of why my relationship with alcohol is different. I'm hesitant to tell this story because I do not want anyone watching to think that if you are under the influence, that gives anyone the right to assault you. That is not what I'm saying. No means no. No one should ever take advantage of you. It doesn't matter what you are on, how drunk you are, how inebriated you are, how under the influence you are. It does not matter. That is not okay. I just want to include this because I found that the lifestyle that I had when I was drinking more underage, and even as a young adult after I, was of the legal drinking age, that lifestyle didn't put me in alignment with people who were good people, who were people I could trust, who genuinely cared about me, who made me feel safe. And that is exactly what happened at USF. I was involved in Greek life. I went to a frat party one night, drank way too much, and I was sexually assaulted. It is the most terrifying and dreadful experience I have ever had in my life. I hope if you are watching this, you never, ever have to experience that, and I hope you have empathy for people who have. The next morning, I went into my suite mate's room, and she immediately said, "Oh my God, I heard you hooked up with so-and-so. He's so ugly." She was not a nice person, but I knew in that moment he had already changed the narrative. I was never going to walk on that campus and feel safe ever again. And I knew I just could not be there anymore. I didn't want to go to the police. I didn't want to tell my sisters in my sorority. I just wanted to get the hell out of there. So literally within a couple of weeks, I applied to FITM, I got in, I did everything, and I was gone that semester. I don't know if that's the best way to handle things. Some would say I let him win, but I just couldn't be there anymore. I couldn't be there. The fact that I knew that he was already telling people that this had happened this way, I just had to leave. That's going to be the end of that. I'm not going to really talk about that in further detail. I don't want this video to be about that experience. That experience just added to the pile of traumatic things that I was suppressing, and even though alcohol was involved, I wasn't at the point yet where I realized, like, this is not the solution. I went to FITM. I didn't have many friends, so I wasn't going to parties or anything, and I knew I needed a break. But once I met some girls, I started dabbling with alcohol again, and nothing was healed. So my relationship with alcohol was the same. Even if I drank once a month with the girls that I knew, it was always the same. I would always get way too drunk. I would cry or get sick, and it was just a really damaging cycle. Now throw in the factor of, wanting to meet boys, wanting to feel comfortable in my skin, but being very, very self-conscious. alcohol was something that would make me feel more confident, or like I could talk to boys. And it was just like this really terrible thing that I knew was terrible, but it was the only way I knew to get through the pain or get through that uncomfortable feeling I had, so that I could make myself more comfortable around men or whatever. Not only is it physically depleting because of the hangover, the next morning I felt like I would have to bounce back so much mentally because I would be so depressed and all of that. It just never was a good choice. It was around the time that I began my health and fitness journey that I started to slowly phase alcohol out, simply because of, it has a lot of calories. I wasn't seeing any results physically because I was adding, tons of calories with drinking on the weekend, and I started to phase it out. But then I realized all the things I could do when alcohol was not involved. Jump forward a little bit, I'd say it was 2016. My roommate and I took 6 months off from drinking, and we would still go out and dance and do everything, but alcohol just wasn't part of the equation. And I realized I could get so much done. I could feel good about myself. I could still socialize and feel confident around people, and I didn't have to drink. That 6 months turned into even longer, and that was the beginning of when I realized, like, I don't need to do this. I don't need to hurt myself and hurt the people around me. Between removing animal products from my diet and reducing the amount of alcohol, my body really responded. I lost a lot of weight and my mind really responded. I also added in therapy to talk about the issues that I was using, a Saturday night of drinking to forget about, to help me work through those problems. And I feel so much stronger. I feel like I know myself more. I'm trying very hard to choose my words wisely in this video, because I never want to come off as someone who shames someone for drinking, or comes off as someone who thinks she's better than anyone. Like I said, I still drink from time to time. I don't think that people who drink regularly are bad. I know myself now. I know my limits. I know what I need to feel stronger and better. Not picking up, alcohol wasn't hard for me. But the thing that has been, I guess, the most difficult is people feeling really uncomfortable when you don't want to drink around them. People will push alcohol on you to death just to make themselves feel more comfortable. And if you're watching this and you're experiencing that right now, that'll stop over time. Just continue to say no, stand your ground. You don't need to do anything you don't want to just to make someone else feel better. Transitioning to this lifestyle has helped me physically, mentally. I would feel like even throughout the week after a Saturday, my head would still be foggy. I couldn't get a lot done. I wasn't as productive. And now I just feel a lot sharper and with it. It's hard to be on this side of things and see how much better my life can be, how much better my relationships can be, how much better of a friend I can be, and go back to the way that I was before. It's very similar to my relationship with food now. It's hard to, know how bad these animals are being treated and how bad it is for the environment, how bad it is for my body, and then to go back to eating the way that I was before. I hope that if any of you watching have had experiences similar to mine, that this video has helped you feel less alone. You all leave really open and thoughtful messages, and you share your experiences in my comments, and you send me DMs, and you tell me how, you felt seen through my video, and you share your stories with me, and I'm so grateful for that. And as my channel evolves and as I evolve, I want to do more of that on my platform. I think that it's important to have these conversations online. We are not perfect. We all have gone through things that are really tough, and I think the only way to heal and, come together is just to talk about them openly, and that's what I'm doing with my channel. Thank you for your endless positive comments, your support, your love. I am so grateful for every single one of you. And as always, y'all, thank you for being here.